GM. Welcome to what's going to be another fantastic episode of DevNTell. So, if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast held every week, allowing founders, hackers, and anyone in between the opportunity to come on the show and showcase what they built. And today I'm ecstatic to welcome back to the show Michal, who is the CEO of AmericanFortress. Last time he was on the show, he demonstrated Swiss Fortress. So, we're going to see all the great changes that have taken place since the last time he came on. And if you're not familiar, American Fortress is a platform making crypto transactions safer and easier by replacing long, risky wallet addresses with simple, human-readable names. So if you stick around for today's episode, you'll get to re-meet Michal or meet Michal for the first time if you didn't tune in last time. Learn about American Fortress and how you can get started with the platform today. All right, let's do it. GM. Welcome back on the show, Mia. I'm ecstatic to have you back on, man.
Yep. Good to be here.
Good for you. Yeah, exactly.
Hello
It's
from
been a little
Wyoming.
bit. Yeah. Happy post Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Yeah.
Hope you had a wonderful Turkey Day, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come chat with us today.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
We can just jump right into it.
sure.
I'm just turning on wallet stuff. I'm going to show you everything here. So, yeah.
I
Let
guess.
me know. Let me know
Yeah.
what is your first question?
Yes. First question. Perhaps for folks that aren't familiar, would you like to just give a brief introduction about yourself, in case they didn't tune in the last episode?
Sure. So I'm Michal Pospieszalski. I'm the CEO of Matterify, the co-inventor, patent writer, CEO, fundraiser, business officer, everything. I mean, we have a decent team, but obviously, I've been with this project since the very beginning. And I grew up hacking. I started hacking at 15, and I'm 53, so I've been doing this for a minute. Almost 40 years of hacking. So yeah, I started in 1987. And then my first job out of college was right for I worked as a contractor for the U.S. Navy. We had a startup in Georgetown. We made a piece of Intel software for the U.S. Navy. That got bought, and then the next two companies I was doing software security, sort of like pioneering software security work. It was LECG and Cigital. They both got bought out too. So then after that, I stopped working for companies. So I had this early run where I was like, oh, if I'm going to innovate, maybe I should do it for myself. And then, but basically, I just want to work on stuff that's like really meaningful to society and really helpful and adds a lot of value. So that's what American Fortress is. It is a project that really fundamentally changes how you use crypto, makes it way easier and safer, and really locks out the hackers. So very excited about that. And because we're about to be in production, we're about to TGE, we got a lot of adoption now, like a lot of different chains are like hopping on the platform. And then, for those of you that were on the Swiss Fortress one, Swiss Fortress is coming back. But for now, we're launching American Fortress first, just from the business narrative that seems to be working better. And American Fortress is entirely my effort, whereas Swiss Fortress was a client that we were working with, right? Because the regulatory environment for privacy, in America was like so, and now it's like everybody's talking about privacy, and we should have privacy in everything. And like I have the ultimate solution for privacy. Like, we basically created a Zcash for all the crypto without mixing, which is the holy grail of privacy, right? Because mixed funds are always a problem. So actually mixing is optional in our system. You'll be able to mix on certain chains that support it, like Litecoin, Dash, Zcash itself, but it's not like a thing that the system has to function at all. In fact, it functions just fine with zero mixing, right? Which is awesome. So, we'll jump into and talk about like, what that is and why. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of jumped into the next set of questions I had. So, yeah, you mentioned the last time you were on the show, showcasing Swiss Fortress, you hinted actually at American Fortress. So it's awesome to
Well, now we're like
cover that
full on
alpha. Yeah,
American
now you're full
Fortress.
on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, excellent, excellent.
we're we're
uh,
full on, branded out. We're starting a merch store in case you like the merch, by the
oh, there
way.
you
So
go, there you go.
so that's happening.
Excellent.
Um,
And yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of folks on the show love their merch. But um, this switch up to the American Fortress side of things, you mentioned it also just in your introduction how the regulatory landscape has changed. I guess could you kind of double click on that a little bit just to get a founder's perspective of how much easier it might be to work in the U.S. now if you're a Web3 or a blockchain company, especially for something like you're doing.
well, yeah. So, I mean, it used to be that, the first question we got from investors, like, pre-Trump time was, hey, for if wave you released isn't going to get banned, or is there going to be regulatory scrutiny? And it was mostly a misunderstanding, because even then we've never, like, our platform's never been a mixing platform. So first of all, let me just explain what mixing is, and then what's changed in the regulatory, landscape. So, first of all, Tornado Cash founders, like, they, that essentially that's a very deliberate mixer, right? So that guy still, the founder still got in trouble, but it was way less trouble than before. But then there's a lot of other projects that are mixing that aren't in any trouble whatsoever, right? And it's mostly seems to be, the line seems to be, whether there was like deliberate action to enable money laundering. Now, what we wanted to do is create privacy without mixing whatsoever, because no one really wants that liability, neither does the user. So let me explain what mixing is. So you know, privacy is not mixing, right? Like, you can have privacy without mixing, and I'll explain that. But most people think that if you need privacy, you have to mix. So what is mixing? Mixing is commingling of funds inside of blocks between the users, so that, like, if Alice sends to Bob, say, 10 Ethereum, and it's in a block where there was, say, 10,000 Ethereum, that was the volume of the block, like the total amount of trades. What happens in a mixed scenario where, and Zcash would be a better example of this, because in Ethereum, the only way you can do this is very deliberately with Tornado Cash. But in that particular block, all the funds are commingled, yet Bob still gets his 10 Ethereum or 10 Zcash, right? So there's a mathematical guarantee that all the money from everybody that's transacting that block goes into the big tumbler, right? The washing machine. And then at the end, they all get the money they're supposed to, but all the money was mixed. So when you mix, it's a cryptographic guarantee that, like, if you bought coffee, but somebody else bought cocaine in that same block, you're mixing the cocaine money with the coffee money, 100% guaranteed, right? So it's a problem because it's a cryptographic guarantee of money laundering, right? Like literally it's washing, right? So obviously criminal enterprises have been, using this feature, and so the regulators are right in that, yes, it's a problem, and it's a problem in law enforcement, right? Now, what do you need to do to, so then let's talk about the meta, but um ultimately, I'm also a privacy advocate, and I'm pro mixing. Like, I want the user to have the option to do it if they really, really want to. There is just consequences that money, later on, you may not be able to deposit into an exchange, etc. Right? Or you may not be able to use it for certain transactions. Now, but most people just, kind of do it, and they don't realize, like, why they're doing. They just think it's privacy. So what the meta that's shifted is, essentially, it's been ruled that software that does this, is not illegal, right? Like, the software is okay. It's the deliberate misuse of it that would be, the software is okay. The deliberate misuse is not okay. Is the general line, right? So but the other thing that's happened is Zcash blew up, like, I don't know what their chart's at today, but it's hold on, let me see. Zcash USD. Oh, it's still up at 500, right? So still like 8x versus what it was like 2 months ago. So now why did that happen? Well, people started using it, but what did they use in Zcash that, you know, but if you look at other privacy tokens, for example, it's like the only things that pump the Pirate Chain, Dash, and Zcash. Now, I don't know Pirate Chain. I don't know its specifics. I haven't gotten into that, but I know exactly how Dash works, as Dash is one of our partners. And I also know how Zcash works because super familiar with this project, given that they were one of the first implementation of stealth addresses, and so were we. So these chains, they don't mandate the mixing. On Zcash, only 30% of the volume is mixed. So if you look at like the statistics on chain, only 30% of the funds at Zcash are locked or in what they call shielded addresses. So shielded addresses in Zcash speak means that they're mixed. So what's happening with the other 70? Like what is that, right? Well, that just uses stealth addresses. Now, what are stealth addresses? Stealth addresses are essentially 80% of what you need for privacy. And let me explain what they are. So you can do a stealth address manually, right? So you can open up your Bitcoin wallet, and I know that Narb is going to send me money, and we're talking on Telegram or whatever, right? And I'm like, all right, Narb, I'm going to make a special address just for you. I'm going to just hit my next address generation key in my HD wallet. It's going to give me a new Bitcoin address, and now I'm going to take that address on Telegram. I'm going to give it just to you, and now only me and you know this address, and that's it. That's a stealth address, right? So the cool thing about stealth addresses is that now you can send me this crypto, and because we didn't publicly reveal this address to anybody, it's just me and you know about it. It's a stealth address, therefore no one knows that me and you transacted, right? So the problem with that is obviously really clunky. So the way Zcash solved it is, in Zcash, the address that you give the counterparty is actually a pay code. It's a different type of cryptographic primitive. We're very familiar with this because we invented pay codes at Justice Ranvier, the inventor of Bit47, works here, right? So Bit47 was pay codes for Bitcoin, so it was essentially like Zcash-esque for Bitcoin, but it didn't get a lot of adoption. And I think one of the reasons is that it's still really hard to use, and there's some difficulties. So first of all, let me explain what a pay code does. Well, what a pay code does is let the counterparty automatically generate a receive address for me when you get the pay code. So I can hand out the pay code to everybody, and I can even publish it online, say this is my pay code, and now anybody that uses that pay code will be able to generate a stealth address. Now the problem is that this only works for Zcash, right? And the other problem is, okay, even when you generate this stealth address, like, you as the receiving wallet, like I wouldn't know that, you sent me the money, Narb. I would just know that, oh, look, I got another stealth address, right? So my wallet's still going to have all these random addresses and random inputs from people, and I'm not going to know like who I got the money from. And if I send it to someone, I'm still not going to know who I sent it to, right? Like, I could track the pay codes again, right? Be like, all right. So the problem is now you have twice as much mental mess for people to track. Now they got to track addresses and be like, this transaction was from so-and-so, and then this pay code that I used to generate this. So it's difficult to use, right? So the patented breakthrough at AmericanFortress is that we made all this just like, first of all, we made stealth addresses for all the crypto. So in our tech, I don't have to modify any chains, and I just have stealth addresses for every chain, every token that we just write a driver for. And almost without exception, there's very few chains that require any modification for our stuff to work. It's like 99% is already compatible, right? So I can even show you, hold on, I'm going to show you the adoption slide. So give me a second. I need to throw down a new screen share here. Oops, let me stop that screen share, throw in the new screen share. Right, so there you go.
Yep.
So, and don't worry, guys, I'm going to show you the wallet here in a second, but I'm just explaining the meta, right? So here's all the chains that we're supported now. So we got Solana going live next week. We got Arbitrum also going live next week. We already got Litecoin, Dash, USDT, USDC, Ethereum, Bitcoin, BCH, eCash, Wyoming Frontier Token. Hooray, freedom, right? So, and there's a lot of ecosystems that are helping us launch this thing. So like that's here, maybe we'll get into that later, but let me go back to the meta. So what happened is people suddenly realized that, like, in the meta, hey, actually stealth addressing is really cool. And it's available on this one chain called Zcash, and that's it. Dash does not have stealth addressing. Guess who's making stealth addressing for Dash? We are. Right. So there, well, okay, I'll make a correction. Dash DPNS name service has a two-way protocol for stealth addressing, where you have to like friend someone and then you'll have stealth addresses with them. It's quite clunky. We have a vastly improved version of that, and again, that's just for one chain. So I wouldn't say that like literally this tech doesn't exist anywhere else, but it's in the 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 cases where it does exist. It's like very clunky and not this sort of nirvana that I'm about to show you. So everybody thinks privacy is awesome, and what they just don't know under the hood is that mostly it's stealth addressing, right? So let me show you what we did for stealth addressing and how it works in our system, which is send to name feature, and then we'll talk about the last little privacy frontier and how you can now do this without mixing, because doing without mixing is like having 100% privacy on all chains and tokens without mixing is exactly how it should be. It solves all the problems, and at that point regulators can't say shit. I mean, it's like right now, if I go to the bank, like I don't want the other people in the line to know my balances, right? So this is exactly what we've created, but we've made it like even easier to use than the bank. So let me just show you the wallet. Unless Narb, you have a question.
No, I'm quite keen. I'm quite keen to see the demo.
Okay, so here's the wallet.
Question wise though, for our crowd that is watching, if you do have questions, please drop them in the comments and we will bring them up. But I brought the screen up. Go for it.
All right, so here is a multi-chain wallet with send to name. So obviously, first of all, is this wallet, you can just generate a classic address and it'll work with all the classic Web3 stuff. We are making this available as an SDK, so MetaMask will shortly have these features as well. So it'll be a MetaMask snap. You can just add to your MetaMask, and all of a sudden, MetaMask will function like AmericanFortress. But I mean, if you look in here, other than a few legacy transactions, everything is a send to name. So my log, so like this is me transacting on the 0G chain. So we'll be releasing this wallet next week. So this is a hot preview that you guys are getting, because this is also awesome for robots. So this received transaction, this is from their faucet, but everything else you see is just send to name. So if I want to send crypto to someone, I'm going to go in here and send like 10 cents to 0G. I just type in at Sasha or whatever the username is. Oh, I have very little 0G or something. Yeah, I got a tiny fraction. 0G. All right, let me do this with Ethereum just so you see it work. $1 of ETH at Sasha. I need to get on that testnet faucet again for my 0G account. All right. So, and I just sent the crypto, right? So, and if you go through, the log, it's all the same names, no matter, radically different chains. So here's Bitcoin running with stealth addresses, right? Here is BCH running with stealth addresses. Here is Litecoin running with stealth addresses. And then like in our beta, like, we have a faucet that's like auto feeding your test nets. Like if you want to test net Litecoin, you can do that. So, we got USDC also with stealth addresses. So what you have is it's just like PayPal, like or Venmo or any app that you're used to, but this is actually completely decentralized. So not only is it super easy to use, you have cryptographic proof of who you got the money from and who you sent the money to. And if I blow this wallet away and restore from seed, all this comes back. In fact, I restored this wallet right 5 minutes into the call, and 2 minutes later, the entire log was already back because I was testing another version last night. I was like, oh shit, I got to get the demo working for NARB. So really, really cool tech, right? So now let's talk about, what this looks like on chain, right? So I'm going to look at this transaction to say Sasha. I'm going to open it up in Explorer. So now I'm going to switch the screen share to Explorer. So give me a second here. Stop screen share, go to share screen again, window. Okay, so this is the transaction I just sent. So how does my wallet know that this is, in this case, I think it was Zachary's address, right? So if I click on this, I see that I sent some money to Zachary as well. And you see it's just coming from my one source address, and it's always going to this guy, Zachary. So, normally in Unstoppable, friend.tech, all these other things, these are static addresses, meaning there's a piece of DeFi or a piece of CeFi or a centralized something or other that's handing out addresses, right? So obviously these are, not great things because, for example, just to show you how, not private it is, I can just go to Unstoppable Domains. And I'm not like picking on them specifically because this is true for all the name services with extremely minor exceptions like a fluid key for ENS, which is essentially a pay code for Ethereum only. But again, no sent to name. Also, DPNS is another example of a almost correct implementation. And well, not, I wouldn't say they're incorrect. They're mathematically correct. They work fine. They're just not as cool as this, right? So here we go. This is Lisa. She's their CTO. And I can just look up her portfolio. Like now, this is you can do this for any. Like you can do this for ENS too. It's just like Unstoppable made it super easy because they created a browser. So I can just clicky instead of having to like run a script and go scrape like a particular name's addresses and then take that address and run it through every block explorer that if you have 10 different blocks registered with say Unstoppable, 10 different chains registered with Unstoppable, you just pull those 10 addresses and then you just scan them and now you know exactly what this person's been doing, right? So, and this is why people haven't really been using it. Just as a point of example here, you've got 1400 USDC came in 70 days ago from this other account. This other account's interesting because it's got way bigger transfers in here, some 21,000, et cetera, right? So obviously it's not ideal, not what we want, right? So back to our link. How do we do it? Well, this is a dynamically computed stealth address. So imagine that the second you put your name up publicly, all other Fortress name, AmericanFortress, Swiss Fortress, compatible wallets, including SDA, just compute your receive addresses. But every time they do that, it's automatic stealth address. You don't even have to understand it as a user. It just the money show up and the story. No one knows what your balance is. So you have public names, private transactions. Okay. Now, what's the only problem with my approach? Let me be my own critic, right? Well, if I send this money to now, what this does is obviously, and our wallets automatically track this, you have a lot of different accounts. Like you have to have a lot of, it's like essentially, and in UTXO chains, it's a different stealth address for every transaction, but we automate all this for you. You don't have to worry about it at all. It's just like, you just have a balance. It doesn't matter, from a crypto point of view, the address space between me and NARB is for any particular chain is 4.2 billion addresses. We're not running out, right? Like, and it's not, like that's not like stressing out the chain or using address space. Like that's a total myth. Like this is like we're taking a grain of sand on Earth, and except there's like 10,000 Earths, right? And they all have trillions of grains of sand available, right? So it's just not an issue. The cryptography behind this is extremely solid. But what's the one problem, or what's the one optimization? Obviously, this is already way better, right, than anything else out there. What's the one optimization? Well, if I can, both me and this user Zachary, can see where the money came from, right? So 26 minutes ago, I sent it, he's from this address. So now he can look at this address and see, oh yeah, Mehow has been, stacking some crypto, into this address. This is all the address from the faucet, right? So this is like the faucet's doing deposits in here, and I'm just sending stuff out. But he can see now. What's the security problem? Well, in the case of the testnet faucet, there isn't one really, right? But what's the problem if like I somehow consolidate 1 million Ethereum, into one account, and then I buy coffee with it? Now the person I bought coffee from with my system can click on this transaction and be like, damn, Michal loaded. He can afford a lot more coffee. I'm going to send the wrench attackers to his house. Right. So how do we solve that? We solve that also. We solve that with something called balance blinding, which is a piece of tech that I am licensing to chains for free. It's another patent of mine. Patent pending, sorry. I got to be very careful with that wording, because some of their stuff is already patented. A lot of it is patent pending. And what that does is it creates a L2 essentially, or an L1 integration where you can balance blind, meaning that you still see this on Explorer, but you don't know. We solved the change problem. The recipient does not know what's left. And now you have perfect privacy without mixing.
Wow. That's amazing.
For the first time in the history of crypto for all chains and tokens, right? So
Yeah.
I get super freaking excited about this, because this is the only sane way to fix it without making more privacy chains that are specific. There is nothing actually wrong with Bitcoin. It just needs a tiny privacy upgrade, which is this last, balance blinding issue. But right now, if you want to go to here, AmericanFortress.io, and you want to start downloading wallets, next week you'll be able to download the wallet I just showed you. Right now, you can download the Litecoin version, which is here, and you can already start playing with it. And then here's the little plug. Hey, get your Fortress name. Because they're limited, right? So like if I go to reserve my name here, voila, we have a very, very, you can desert .lite, that root domain. So like root would be like the NARB. And right now, all we're selling is it has to be more than minimum 6 characters. Everything under 6 characters, we're going to auction off. So we're going to start an auction, because it's like names like Joe. If you want to be the Joe, then cool. Now, this bit is centralized. This is the only centralized bit. Why is it centralized? Well, because if you want to do something like, hey, I want to buy Binance, and I'm not Binance, by the way, I'm freaking Mehow, right? And I try to check availability, it's going to say, sorry, this name's not available, and our AI bot blocked it. Why? Well, because this solves all phishing, right? So we don't, it's like, now to not get phished, you just got to make sure you can spell, right? Like, because you don't have to evaluate a 40 character hexadecimal string anymore and like see if it's correct to, approve a transaction. Because it also works in hardware wallets, also works in custody, also works everywhere, right? So, reserve your name even in beta. What this does is generates a code that later, when the wallet's in production, January, February, you'll be able to link your seed to the name. The names are transferable. There will be an auction system. You'll be able to essentially sell them. The one thing you cannot do is go by Binance when you're not Binance. And if you are Binance, then there's a link you're going to get to, like a form that says, okay, fill this out, and we'll real human KYC you to make sure that you are, like, say, Donald Trump, if that's the name that you bought. And that part's centralized, but once you link your name to the seed, your wallet that goes all into the DeFi system, our DeFi system, which will live on 0G and base, for essentially redundancy and duplicacy. Duplicity sounds terrible, for duplication, purposes. So that DeFi is infallible, and your wallet can prove it to you, right? So like the metadata written to make this stealth stuff happen gets put in the DeFi, and then the wallet can verify before it goes live that in fact you're good to go. And then we don't know what you're doing, because again, it's a privacy project. So it's like I shouldn't be as like a special person that knows what my users are doing. Like the only reason I can show you in my wallet like what's up is because of the fact that I'm one of the parties transacting, right? So yeah, sorry, I'm thinking multiple things. Mostly the NARB, the root is available. Check availability. Yeah, that's available.
Nice.
And I can go back. Let's see. Um,
And then, when you do
yeah.
reserve these names, is it like, like a domain name where you, reserve for a certain period of time, or,
Yeah, so it's 1
is
year,
it
3 years, or lifetime.
yeah.
But you can't subdomain it. This is the same. This is also designed to prevent fraud, right? So like we have a, we don't want this is somebody to like get through and register some brand name somehow, right? And then start selling the brand name to other people and be like, hey man, you can be, Mehow.Ford or Mehow.GM Motors or whatever, right? Like, because then it's just ripe for fraud. So the name you're buying is literally the name you're buying. It's just using an identifier in the decentralized chat and the wallet itself. So like, let me show you another really cool side consequences of send to name for crypto. And then I'll just let you read with questions. That'll be the end of my rant. But one of the other
Let's do
things
it.
in here is like, I don't know, Narb, are you on Mac?
I am on Mac, yes.
Yeah, I could literally give you the binary right now. You can install it and we can start messaging and sending
Yeah.
each other crypto like right in. If we got the
Nice.
time, well, we can literally fucking do it right
Yeah.
now. But this is the encrypted end-to-end chat. So guess what? Well, if I send money to Zachary, like I said in that example, like I'd like to be able to talk to him and have a cryptographic guarantee that I'm actually talking to the guy that's also got the private keys. That's exactly what this does. It is a Signal or Telegram implementation, essentially, like functionally equivalent, except that the keys used are the same keys used in the spending and receiving of the money. So it's a identity tool, right? Like you literally talk to whoever you're about to transact with, or you've already transacted with. And then we're adding a DID feature to this where you'll be able to get a decentralized proof of your identity, like a full copy of your driver's license that only you have, signed by the government. And one of the places I'm working with this on is the government of Wyoming. Is I want them to be the first U.S. issuer of digital identities is my goal, because they're they did frontier token, so hopefully they'll get around to it. And now, like if I'm talking to say Narbin here, then voila, I can prove to you what my identity is, and it's a cryptographic proof. It's like better than whipping out, like if I show you my ID, you're like, is it fake? If I have a digitally signed ID verification from a government or a major KYC entity, that is far more trustworthy than anything else. And that too is also freaking decentralized. That's the best part about it. Like you as the user go get the cryptographic proof of your identity, then it lives in your wallet. When you restore your wallet, by the way, it also comes back, right? Because we encrypt that. We can't see it. We just see, oh look, there's a bunch of people with identities, but we don't know, who they are, or what identities they have as AmericanFortress, but they can share it with the counterparty, right? And now you have universal decentralized DID, because now you share that identity in the encrypted chat, and now who knows who you really are? Only that one particular party that you, as the user, decided to share your identity with. But now that party has a far greater, far better KYC than they do in the real world, right? Like when they meet you, right? So yeah, I'm excited about what we're doing. And then yeah, and like I said, lately, mad adoption, just awesomeness. And then the TGE looks like it'll be January. There is a token called American Fortress token, predictably, that's like powering all this, and it's the security mechanism for all the metadata that we're talking about. That's decentralized. That's the end of the rant. Hit me with questions, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, first reaction is, "Holy shit, this is freaking amazing." uh,
I'm glad you
and
like it.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, you touched on it. On the AF token. Perhaps like, do you want to double click just a little bit on like what exactly the utility is? So you mentioned it's securing like the
So
metadata.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
Notice that I just explained to you exactly how you use the system, and all you got to like. By the way, when you buy a name, it's just a Stripe credit card thing, right? So, and the reason we did that is we don't want users that don't understand DeFi or crypto or tokens to have to manipulate a token to use it, right? So, like, for example, in a bunch of other name systems like FIO, ENS, like you got to, pay for it with Ethereum or pay for it with FIOs. And then when you set up a two-way channel in FIO, you got to pay more FIOs. And it's just like grandma lost. She not doing it, right? She wants like Wyoming goldbacks. If that's the sophistication of the customer that we're dealing with. And that's right. Like, it has to be this simple. If it's not this simple, no one's going to fucking use it, which is why, finally Zcash got their pump, but those guys are still like, I think most of their users don't even understand that they're using pay codes as addresses, and that, but they're like, hooray, stealth addresses is really cool. No one can see what my balances are, right? So it's like, but still, that's a very, very small group of people, right? Like, total Zcash users versus the world, right? Not a thing, right? So what do we do with American Fortress token? Well, when you buy a name, we buy our own supply. And then there's metadata that's written along with that name. And then that's locked up with American Fortress token, essentially on your behalf, on the behalf of the user. But we do it all for you. So like, to the user, this is the final, like, before production, there's a bunch of stuff we're doing technically, to go from beta to production, which is basically like, right now, this beta is semi DeFi. The full production has to be 100% DeFi, obviously, right? Like, I wouldn't even launch it if it wasn't 100% decentralized. So we have to do a few tweaks, but that, from the user experience, it won't matter. But what you will be able to see, publicly, is, as our DeFi grows, you'll be able to see, okay, this system has X amount of users. Now, you don't know who the users are. You just see a list of names and metadata, right? You have no idea what the names are doing. You just see that somebody registered a name. That's it. The name, like, all you can tell, and if the name's like super descriptive, like if it's the NARB DevNTell, reasonable chance I can assume that, you signed up for our wallet. But can anybody tell what you're doing? No, absolutely not. Right. And that's the only right way to do it. So that's what the token does.
Gotcha. Excellent. Excellent. That's great to hear. And yeah, just curious, do you have any plans to like have like a virtual card kind of associated with this as well? Like, I can totally see like you have the Fortress name set up, and then you load up your account basically with like a pre-spend or something, and then you have like a virtual card that you can spend at like um
Yeah,
any
so I mean, I think
special. Yeah.
our wallet's going to grow, and we're going to add but the first thing people want is DeFi. But the other thing everybody's really excited about is the AI stuff, right? So, like, here's an example of a card. This is a card we did for a customer. This is just a hardware wallet card. Now, do I want a spend card inside American Fortress wallet? Yes. So American Fortress is operated by a company called Matterify. I'm also obviously CEO of that. It's really the same entity. American Fortress is just like we're spinning it off as a subsidiary, for essentially operations purposes. So we have a retail wallet. So American Fortress is our retail wallet, but you, as a consumer, as a business, can get the white label version of this. You can also get like a white label light, like American Fortress Litecoin, which is what we launched with Litecoin Foundation a month ago. It was very well received. So, and we also make custody. We also make hardware wallets, right? So like, and in our retail wallet, we do want all this cool functionality, right? So, but the first thing we're going to do is the on-off ramp, and the DeFi, and then also it's getting released by January is the AI agent. In fact, I'll be showing it off next week. So we've already finished this work, but you can have your Claude or your Eliza. You can just chat to the wallet and be like, "Hi, how much crypto do I have?" And, I want to send money to Mehow, and it just does it. So there's a model context protocol interface we wrote for this. That's open source. That part of it is open source. And so robots will be able to transact with Sentiname with Stealth Address University, which is incredibly, incredibly important for just human and robot safety and anti-hacking, period. Because you don't want to know, like, people, a robot doesn't want to be like, yeah, man, I got stacks. Right? Because remember, like, the way payments and crypto work right now, like, if you just want to receive all payments, you just got to post an address, or you got to use Unstoppable. So, like, the second you do that, everybody's like, all right, well, this is how much money. Now imagine that address is even Coinbase just released this super fast payment system for AI agents. It processes really fast. And like in the API, it's like, here's my address. Like the first thing the API does is just hand out the address. It's not a stealth address. It's just the address. So now all the robots interacting with that interface, you can be like, oh, just give me your address. Okay, cool. Oh, I see how much you have. Right. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's broken. Like, what people are doing is broken. And what AI agents are going to do is going to make this problem way worse. Because a robot doesn't give a shit. Like, it doesn't get mentally tired when it does 10,000 transactions in a minute. It's just like, if that's profitable, that's what it will do, right? So you have to have privacy for the robots, right? So this is a lot of exciting announcements from us on that end as well. And yeah, super excited to to get those features out. But what we will be doing like more and more, so American Fortress is just getting cooler and cooler and cooler. You'll be able to, we're adding packed swap, for example, as the default swapper. So right out the gate, you'll be able to pack swap, you'll be able to on ramp with send to name, you'll be able to run you, and you'll be able to do that with AI. And then when we add oracles, meaning like the AI can reach out to like a price oracle now, or like what's the best place to, get yield on a fairly safe, say, I want to just get yield off of deposits. I just want to leave my money somewhere and earn yield, right? So that, the second you have those pieces, now you can have like stuff like, okay, robot, what's the best place to get yield today? Okay, cool. This is the place. I don't have that asset. Why don't you go buy it for me? What's the best place to buy it? Or can you trade like what I have via DeFi, like pack swap, to get this new asset, so that I can just go get yield, via staking, right? So that's the nirvana we're going for. And as far as I know, we're the closest operation to actually creating said nirvana, because you can't have the nirvana without the privacy. It's like literally like incredibly dangerous and impossible to do this without privacy. And then, I don't know if we're running out of time, but the last piece is, okay, from a regulatory point of view, this is awesome because everybody's now holding cryptographic proofs is exactly what they did. So like if you're the government and say, Binance is running the system, now they have cryptographic proof they didn't commit money laundering, because guess what? They're getting sued for $4 billion again, for saying, were they willfully negligent? Really hard to say, because the tech to prove that a particular address belonged to a terrorist doesn't exist. Okay. Like, I'm obviously anti fucking terror, not cool. But the only way to tell that an address belongs to the terrorist is to pry the ledger from its cold, dead hands, right? And so reading that lawsuit, which, by the way, I analyzed because I was asked to do an article on it, to do a counterpoint. Reading that lawsuit is like, and then we found out that, all these transactions actually belong to terrorists like 3 years later. But somehow, miraculously, CZ and Binance were supposed to know this shit when the stuff was happening. They didn't have a prayer. Because it's super easy to fool the exchange right now. It's like you set up a legitimate account, and then a terrorist pays the legitimate account person that's got the KYC and says, okay, what's your deposit address for Bitcoin? And they give that to the terrorist. Okay, and by the way, here is our terrorist withdrawal address, right? So they give that to the legitimate account, and now the legitimate account's operating, but they don't actually have control of any of the funds, right? In our case, if that account was running send to name, you would know if the funds were coming from a different private key. We actually have a patent on that tech, right? So you have cryptographic proof that the money comes from this particular user that you KYC. This makes money laundering incredibly difficult. In fact, we can also have a proof where, like, you as the user, say you're NARB, you deposit into Binance, right? And Binance is like, hey, this is over 10K. We're doing extra screening. I want you to prove to me where the funds came from. In our system, and our system only, you can do that. You can generate cryptographic proofs that, like, say, NARB received it from Mehow, and then NARB sent it to Binance. And you can prove to Binance that you got it from me, which is awesome, right?
That's amazing.
That is the sickest anti-money laundering tech on planet Earth, yet fully decentralized, fully opt-in, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the proof. You don't get to do the thing, at Binance that you want, right? So I'm just extremely excited.
And as you should be, right? This is crazy. This is like one of the biggest problems, like, that was hampering crypto adoption, and a lot of the FUD that, like, 10, 20 years that crypto has been getting, is like because of like money laundering and all this, and now you're solving it. It's just like, oh shit.
And I would say that right now I'm sure there'll be other solutions, but I humbly submit that right now we're the only people that have this working end to end. And maybe there'll be, other ways of doing it cryptographically, but I haven't thought of those, and this is all I think about. So for me, it's really exciting. Like, the thing that I, been thinking about for 6 years and then working on for like 4 years, in stealth mode, is all of a sudden like the rage. right? Like I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
cool. All right, finally.
Yeah.
But I was just like, dude, I told you so, guys. Like
Yeah.
you have this is how you have to do it, right? And so, blessed in that regard, and but it's still not easy. So, I hope everything continues to stay awesome, and we just continue to crush.
This is the way. And you did share a affiliate link with me as well. How can people start using it? Using American Fortress. I know you said the launch is coming up,
Yeah.
but
So, but
sharing
if you
that
want
link.
your name right now, you
Yeah.
can essentially
Yeah.
pre-reserve it. So the
Yeah.
link you have will take somebody to the checkout. They can,
Yeah.
and it's literally exactly what I just sold. You get the link automatically gets you a 10% discount. So like subdomain names are really cheap. It's like $9 for, a year. Now you might, okay, one last, so use the link, get whatever names you want, let us know if there's bugs, report it on our form, etc. I'd like to think we have a, fairly robust setup there right now, but, may not be perfect. Um, and the other thing I'll say is like, okay, what happens if your name expires? Well, so the reason that every other name provider makes you buy a lifetime name for $400 or whatever. Now we do have lifetime names for $400. If you have if you want to be the Mehow, then yeah, that'll cost you lifetime. But and then the top level names are not $10; they're $50 a year. With the 10% discount, obviously a little less. But so yeah, Black Friday name special.
Oh yeah. There you go. There you go.
Buy names for your friends that then you can gift them.
Yeah.
So but what happens if a name expires? Now, first of all, when does the time period start? It doesn't start till the wallet hits production. So like if you buy a year name now, it's not like it expires next November, 28th. It expires from the time. So if we start production February 2nd, it'll be February 2nd, 2027 that name expires. Now, what happens if it expires? Well, there's a fundamental problem with like all other name systems is that they can't have, these subscription periods because like, what if I register a name in ENS and I put my address in there and I forget it's there? And then the name expires. Like what happens? So the answer has been like, there are no time periods. You have to buy a lifetime name, right? Like that's been the answer for every other system. In our case, because of the dynamic stealth address computation, that mechanism is a forward to your private keys, right? It is not a copy of your private keys. If like you buy the name of the NARB and then you let it expire, and then we have a 3-month period where it's just like it's still forwarding to you, but it's essentially in limbo. Then I buy it on 1 month, 1 year, 3 days, and like a day. Now it gets forwarded to me. You don't lose your money. There's nothing changes. It's just like the new transactions to the NARB go to Mehow. So there is no issue with like loss of funds or anything, right? So like it's safe to buy. Like if you just you're just like, hey, you want a 1-year name, sure, try it. But if you really believe in a name, then get the lifetime. I'm not going to discourage you from sending us revenue for this awesomeness and supporting us. But that's how it works.
Well said. Well said. And yeah, I hope everybody gifts the gift of privacy.
Give the
This
gift of
holiday.
privacy
That's right.
this holidays. Oh, dude, I
This
I
holiday
am so
season.
stealing. This is going straight to
Do it.
marketing.
Do it.
Give
Do
the
it.
gift of privacy. Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
freaking legendary. Okay,
There you go.
cool.
Very early Christmas to you. There you go. um,
Narb, I love
Michal.
doing spaces with you. Super cool.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. And yeah, unfortunately, this brings us to time. But I thought we could have kept going for another hour or so. But Mehow, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to come chat with us today. What you're doing with American Fortress is super, super cool, especially with the rise of in popularity with privacy and security. So viewers, definitely do check out American Fortress. The production is right around the corner, as Mehow mentioned. We will drop that affiliate link in the description below so you can get that sweet discount to reserve your name. But yeah, thank you again, man. Really appreciate it.
Peace, Narb. Have a happy holiday and chat soon. Give the gift of privacy.
Give the gift of privacy this season. There you go. Uh, cheers, all. Have a good
Cheers.
one.
Bye.